Have you ever wondered what those weird magical symbols were on the walls spread across the rage map? Particularly referring to the Ghost Clan's markings and paintwork. You see, it's quite a bit early on, but with no explanation of their meanings, their connections to the clan's religion, philosophy, story, or anything. So I took it upon myself to draw them on my trusty Paint 3D with as much accuracy as possible. A lot of these markings were kinda hard to copy, while some others were almost like fresh paint. These markings range from sigils, alchemy, shamanism, and spirit work. Lastly, keep in mind that I claim to be no expert in magical workings, so take everything I say with a grain of salt. Much of it sounds far-fetched, but I think it works quite well given their setting of rage. This won't be a deep lore dive or anything. I think the story is easy enough to follow along with. I'll just go over briefly what I found throughout the map. Our first true encounter is in the hotel. That's their home base and it's called the Rutherford. Here's where our journey and analysis begins. I'm still the eerie music. I think it'll be fitting for this video. I also cleared the building too, so I can get some good shots. There are a bunch of pushovers. First up, we have a bind rune. You'll see plenty of these. Runes were used first for creating words and to mimic sounds. It was later used as a magical inscription, healing, and fortune telling. There are three types of runes. There are Elder, Fourth Arc, and Younger. It dates back nearly 2 millennia. This one uses Wonjo, or joy, that's overlapped with Gibo, or gift. This one is actually a pretty common bind rune. It signifies a loving relationship. Next is the pagan Kaleido, which means wheel or cycle. It derives from calendar. It's actually a festival celebrated in Eastern Europe and symbolizes the end of winter. In many countries, the word also roughly translates to Christmas as well. Next, we have what I call a totemic emblem. At first glance, you instinctually notice it as a set of deer antlers, but it's actually a 2-in-1 deal. With more observation, I concluded that not only is it antlers, but it's also a stylized bat. Antlers signify fertility and feral power, while the bat symbolizes intuition and the underworld. Together, these make a feral spirit of dominance, fear, and instinct. Next, we have the double spiral motif. These are opposing forces balanced out. It's old Neolithic art dating several thousands of years back, first spotted in the tomb of Negrange in Ireland. Next, we have a more widely known symbol called Vanut, an ancient Viking symbol. It represented the cycles of life, death, and rebirth, and is used as a strength charm for a challenging and adventurous spirit. My take on it is a little different though. If you look closely, the interlocking triangles make a total of 6 smaller triangles, making 3-6, which is of course 666. Take that with a grain of salt. I'm no intellectual genius by any means. Next, we have an Old Norse symbol called Gugnir. This is Odin's spear. It represents divine authority, wisdom, and balance. This is also a bind rune, uses Gibo, Ingos, or fertility. Together, this will bring divine wisdom to bring growth and change. Next, we have a sigil. This one I call the Pluto Ascendant. Now, sigils are personal and have no renowned meaning, but based on the symbolism, I think it comes pretty close. As you can see to the left, it loosely resembles the Pluto sigil. It also resembles a person celebrating. The legs are the grounding, the body is unity of spiritual and material worlds, and the arms and head is elevation. I think it invokes spiritual awakeness. Next, we have a loose resemblance of Odin's spear, but with intertwined snakes. Snakes are religiously deceptive and represent Satan. The snake was also the pursuer of forbidden knowledge. This can roughly translate to Odin's pursuit to all knowledge, both for good and for evil. It represents his all-composing wisdom. We're getting a bit more complex, so stick with me here. Next, we have this guy. I describe this as a bioorganic stylized seal of Solomon. The hexagram in the middle is a cell, and it branches out with snakes. It sort of loosely resembles a neuron. Each branching snake could represent a dark celestial spirit that breaks or vows of some sort, maybe, and it's in motion like a wheel. I call this the sixth planetary serpent seal. It's a binding seal, invoking celestial energy throughout the entire organism. What we have here is what I call a Buddhist unilome sigil. Overall, it represents spiritual depth to enlightenment. The dots, I presume, are certain obstacles, while the zigzags are overcoming those said obstacles. Now, we're getting into some alchemy. Some of the more challenging ones I tried deciphering are coming up. Some real head cases. This one is an alchemic symbol for arsenic. It has the intertwined fire and water symbols. The fire base is left open, which could mean like an open fire or transitioning. The interlocking represents arsenic's metamorphosis and is used to alter looks of base metals. Spiritually speaking, this is like change to poison or corruption. The Ghost Clan certainly did suffer a disastrous change at their Apophis. They have adopted that toxic environment for survival. This set of Byron runes mixes in with what I seem to think is the symbolics. Starting from left to right, we have the Byron rune in Zeus, or God, and the Isa, or ice. They could also be two lagoons or water runes. Either way, it could mean focused wisdom or inner concentration. It could be used to enhance focus. Next, we have another Byron rune that has three runes together, or so I believe. His Isa, Gibo, or gift, Knuz, or fire. Together they bring illumination through inner intuition guided with divine knowledge. Lastly, we have the symbolic. This is very uncharted territory, so please forgive me if this is baloney. The upside down arm and legs could be a drunk, and the triangle could mean description, so it's basically describing a drunk person. Given these symbols, it's possibly an inscription given knowledge from left. From self and not other. Now we're getting to the heavy hitters. We have the symbol right here. A lot of the scribble around and in the symbol has no meaning from what I've tried to scrap from the web. This is a magic triangle of Solomon, which is used to summon spirits in tandem with grimoires like the Lesser and Greater Keys of Solomon. There's a solid theme of duality depicted here. Next is what I call the sigil of motherly love. This has strong overlapping feminine principles like the Charquesta, circle-inverted triangle, and then mixed with some alchemy. The bottom was particularly interesting. I believe this to be an alchemical process of digested silver through acid, which makes purified silver, or mercury of silver, which represents purity, another female principle. There is a duality sign with Mars and Venus combined, called the ribis. The ribis is the pinnacle of transformation. The sigil can be used to conjure Lilith for sexual energy. This depicts the Ghost Clan's spiritual descent into corrupted material existence and hunger for raw reproductive drive. The next one is the Seal of Thawing Heart. You have here a classic Seal of Solomon. There are many alchemic symbols infused into this pertaining to clarity and renewing. We have one alchemy process to the left, with mixed silver phosphate used to absorb light. To the right, there is an alchemy process that opens or melts rocky resin, symbolizing liberation. This whole working can be used to release negative emotions and free mental imprisonments. Alright family, we're almost done here. There's still some more wacky stuff. We have this next one which I call the Sigil of Harmonic Balance. Firstly, we have a square circle which represents the perfect balance between mind and body. The middle could be Telugu's runes. Honestly, it's kind of hard to tell. That would roughly translate to instability. Possibly. These two currents meet and create pressure, kind of like internal tension. In the Ghost Clan's context, this could be adapted madness. Overall, with its combination of runes and alchemy, it represents past hardship or poison transforming to healing, guided by balance. We have an interesting one here. I call this the Sigil of the Harmonic Child. It starts with the third pinnacle of Venus, union of opposites from Greater Grimoire of Solomon. The top inverted triangle has the asteroid Bopus in the middle, classic duality sign of impregnation of a new era. To the left we have another alchemic process called the Heavenly Red Venus. This process produces cuprite or crystallized copper, symbolizing pure love. The bottom section of the sigil is a penetrating sex act, another union of opposites. The sigil is basically telling of a new eon of love brought on by total tragedy. Mot is the Egyptian goddess of truth and balance, and Har is another name for horse. Together, the idea becomes order after chaos. Okay guys and gals, we arrived at last magical inscription. This one I call the Sigil of Guided Transmutation. This is an exhaustive one. First we have the alchemic squared circle with four corners circled with some other alchemy work. Like most all others, it has strong elements of duality, transformation, and enlightenment. This one has a classic pentagram sigil in the middle. I couldn't actually get the shape of the star using conventional rules, but you're welcome to give it a try. How dare you? This sigil directs transformation through conscious navigation of duality by processing emotional stagnation, breaking eternal loops, and reconciling drives. This aligns with the Ghost Clan's adaptation through suffering. It's their way of telling their story of forced evolution and their fractured humanity. I know, this sounds like some crazy guy rambling. You're sort of right. These magic runes and sigils represent the very primordial and feral nature of the Ghost Clan. They all practically invoke transformation through survival and loss of humanity. Early on, we see that they had a room with a massive pile of dead bodies and a bull skull drawn onto the wall. Maybe some satanic sacrifices for their god and savior Baphomet. Just from that, I think these guys don't care too much for the mystical side of things and are more interested in possession of violent and dark spirits. If you see something like this in real life, I recommend getting the hell away from it. These are some nasty spirit and occult workings I wouldn't dwell too hard in. Too bad we didn't see more of the Ghost Clan until the sequel. I felt right at home with Rage. It was like a more serious Borderlands, and man, I loved it. Well, thanks for watching. In my next video, I'll be dwelling and trying to reverse engineer the Gearhead's electrical schematics. Boy, is that going to be fun. So don't miss it. Hit that subscribe button.